From the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Georgette Dorn, and I'm the chief of the Hispanic Division of the Library of Congress, which includes the Caribbean. And I'm glad to tell you that Haiti has always been part of the Hispanic Division since it was founded in 1939, because Haiti was the first independent country of Latin America. So Hispanic is an overall term like Coca-Cola, and we tried not to change it, even though we now include the multilingual Caribbean, and Haiti was the first non-Spanish or Portuguese country which was covered by the Hispanic Division. It is my great pleasure to introduce Dr. Joan Higby, who until April 1st of this year was the French Caribbean specialist of the Hispanic Division. Sad to say that she retired on April 1, but she continues her wonderful work as a special consultant on Caribbean affairs, French and English Caribbean affairs, to the Hispanic Division. So I now introduce you to Joan Higby. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dorn. When I returned to the Hispanic Division of the Library of Congress, I returned to my second home. Retirement is good, but I will always have a deep love for that division and for the Library of Congress. I am delighted to have the opportunity to welcome Educa Vision to the Library of Congress. It was shortly after I became the English and French Caribbean specialist in the Hispanic Division that I met Fequiere Vilsaint and learned from him the compelling story behind the creation of his publishing house. It began with Mr. Vilsaint's personal engagement in improving the life of a Creole-speaking child in an English language classroom. I have watched the impressive development of Educa Vision since that first conversation. What has impressed me the most with this growing enterprise is that it has retained the spirit and value of service with which it began, service to others. It has an uncompromising recognition of the importance of Haitian culture, and it has retained a publishing culture of reverence for life. At book fairs and conventions over the years, it has been my privilege to talk with and learn from today's speakers, Fequiere Vilsaint, Maude Heurtelou, and Carol L. Hollander. Mr. Vilsaint was born in Port-au-Prince and was reared there and in Cape Haitian. After high school, he migrated to Montreal, where he studied biology at Concordia University, receiving a Bachelor's of Science degree. He continued his studies at Université Laval in Quebec City and at Tufts University. He was on the staff of the University of South Florida's Medical School in the Department of Biochemistry and Molecular Biology when he became involved in educational issues that led to his founding of Educa Vision. His previous activities included renewable energy research at McGill University and aquaculture infrastructure evaluation, fish, shrimp, algae, in Haiti and the Caribbean. Mr. Vilsaint is the author of 14 dictionaries, many articles in academic journals. He speaks English, French, Haitian, Creole, and Spanish. He has reading knowledge of German and Portuguese. Maude Heurtelou is a novelist and storyteller. Her two Haitian Creole novels, La Famille Bon Plaisir and Saisiment, have both been translated into English and published by Educa Vision. She is the author of 25 children's books, some of which have been translated into English or French or both. Ms. Heurtelou earned a master's degree in nutrition and public health. She has worked in Haiti, Guatemala, Canada, and the United States. In recognition of her extensive volunteer work in Haiti in the area of education, public health, and life improvement, Ms. Heurtelou has received, through the Florida Association for Voluntary Actions, awards from Governor Lawton Chiles and Governor Jeb Bush. She has developed audio, visual, and printed educational materials for agencies that include the Center for Disease Control and the University of South Florida. As a resident of South Florida, she is currently involved in family primetime reading and storytelling in local libraries. Carol R. Hollander was born and grew up in Baltimore, Maryland. She received a BA with honors from Marlborough College and an MA from Goddard College, both in Vermont. With a background in scholarly book publishing, she joined Educa Vision in 2004 to develop the imprint Caribbean Studies Press, thereby expanding Educa Vision's publishing program into the wider field of Caribbean studies. Thank you for being here, and welcome to what is going to be a very interesting program.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Dorn. Thank you, Dr. Higby. Thank you all for coming. I'm very pleased to see you. I'm touched that you make the move to come. Thank you very much for your generosity to invite me to these venerated institutions. We are very proud to be invited. All 5 of us. We responded with enthusiasm. This invitation signals to us that we need to continue to focus with disciplines on the element that have value for us, on the element of our mission at Educa Vision. Our mission, we defined it in 1991, and as a matter of fact, this year is our 20 years of existence. We, at that time, set 2 important elements to take seriously. One, to develop and to augment the corpus of educational material that exists in Haitian Creole. One. The second is to contribute in collaboration with many people to the education of Haitians, regardless where they are. In Haiti, urban, rural, outside of Haiti, in United States, in Canada, Bahamas, Dominican Republic, anywhere they are. But this service, we want it to be available for all of them, regardless of their economical status, whether they can pay or not pay. We would like to be able to contribute to their experience and make it feasible and reasonably easy, I should say, but reasonably acceptable for them to get access to education, to get access to reading. And one of the element that we find very important is that in communication with us, in collaboration with us, if we can convey or encourage children the love for reading, the passion for reading independently, we think that we will be in the good direction. And I thank you very much for recognizing our effort and inviting us to tell this story. We do a lot of material in Haitian Creole, and we get a lot of different questions. But from the starting point, I need to say that we are not driven by language activism. We're not driven by changing things in terms of what language should go before or after. That's not our purpose. We are interested in access to education in whatever language that these children bring. In the case of Haiti, in the case of New York, or in the case of Florida, a lot of the Haitian come with a linguistic asset, obviously a cultural asset, but for our purpose, a linguistic asset, and we want to touch on that to facilitate their learning, their education, their development, and also helping them solving problems that they encounter in their daily life, whether they are in rural Haiti or in urban Haiti or outside of Haiti. 21 years ago, I was a biochemist, actually a molecular biologist at the biochemistry department at USF. And that day, as they've done it several years before, they invite me to go to a high school to speak to students about, during African American History Month. They wanted me to go to the classroom and tell the student explain to the student what does a molecular biologist do. So in order to encourage them also to look at this field as an opportunity, and above all, they wanted them to see people who could tell them about their experience, their reality, their discipline, or any other elements, so that the kids will be encouraged themselves to focus on the study, to value what they are studying, and also start thinking of things that they could do or field that they could embrace for the future. In one particular case in that year, there was a young boy at the last row of the class with whom I was not able to make contact. I didn't know why, but it couldn't pass. So every kid would pose all kind of question. I answer, I animate the relationship. But this fellow didn't pay attention to me, didn't want to hear what I say. So I thought, and then when I try to engage him, he ignores me completely. So at the end of the class, I tell the teacher, well, I tried to contact this young fellow there, and I think I was not successful. And she said, don't worry about him, he's a Haitian, he just came, he doesn't understand English, so just, it's nothing important for now, just don't worry about it. So we all went on and do what we had to do. Then I was faced with 5 problems, which I thought then. And among the different solutions that came to me was, I'm trying to make a long story short, I decided to help this young fellow understand English, and also then I thought that maybe there are many different other students in the same set of circumstances. I wanted to see whether I could, on a part-time basis, when I get some time off, to help them. But one strategy that I took, among other options that I had in front of me, was to speak with a teacher and see what are the themes or that will be presented in class in the next day, in the next week or 2 weeks. So I kind of plan ahead by laying down the keywords that you need to understand their meaning, how these words are connected to the general curriculum for the class, and also how these words are connected, or these themes are connected to the exam that you need to take at the end of the year. So I kind of plan my strategy, and I meet once a week with either the teacher or the young student, and prepare a glossary and an explanation of themes. Say if it was geography, I'll take the keywords, explain to them why they are important, why do they fit in the whole scheme of finding a place on the planet, say. And so at the end of the school year, which is probably 3 months later, February, March, at the end, by end of May, I had a pretty interesting corpus of words, their meaning, with some illustrations to explain concept to this young fellow. There was one teacher there in that school. She, for some reason, get excited with that. She invited me to a conference, teachers conference, ELL, conference. Then they didn't call ELL, was no, there was another word for it. But anyways, what was so they invited me to that conference, and she used me as a vignette to explain, the element of, voluntarism, and also how the kid, I mean, the boy and other kids in the school benefited from the corpus that I created. And the teachers all wanted a copy of my glossaries, which I, give wholeheartedly, and very proud that my glossary is being used in the classroom, etc. But to make the story even longer, or shorter, is that I somehow get beyond the student I was helping to look at a picture, a broader picture. And in preparing my glossary, I have a few problems. And those problems, I had to find solutions for them. The solutions, the problems were, for example, if I'm explaining a concept in Creole with the vocabulary in Creole, I need to do it right, syntactically or, orthographically, etc. So, but the tools that were available for me, they were there. They are interesting, but for the student, they were not accessible. For example, a dictionary would come in two parts. It would be $100 each, at about $200. So it was clunky for a school to buy for the student. So, I started distributing my glossaries, and then. There were issues of syntax that I had to address. And the biggest problem that I had to address very often was issues of expanding of vocabulary, especially in science. So I as I walk along that road, I find several people interested in the same thing. In other words, what I found, and I'm going to repeat a metaphor that I kind of saw in front of me at this time, was that all the solutions we were looking for, material for the student to learn, glossaries, English Haitian Creole, there were no monolingual Haitian Creole, there was no Webster's, if you want. And I speak with people in linguists in Canada, linguists in Haiti. I spoke with a wonderful fellow from a gentleman in University of Indiana who had done a lot of work in Haitian Creole. I spoke with people at Kansas University, and I realized that there is a solution. There are a lot of solutions. There is a river of solutions, like salt in water, diluted in water, or sugar diluted in water. There is a lot of solutions, but there is no crystals. There is no dictionary that we could take off the shelf and tell the student, this is what we're going to use for your exam. There is no monolingual glossary we could go there and find the meaning of a word, say. So we decided to create the first accessible English Haitian Creole dictionary for the student to use. To do that, I decided that I'm going to take 1 year leave of absence from my work from the university. I took 1 year leave of absence. I gathered the glossary, and we published the first English Haitian Creole dictionary. Our first, anyways. Then, in order to do that, a year without a salary, my wife fed me. And probably would not have been possible if it didn't feed me. So for a year, I set up the organization. We defined our mission. We define our objective. We establish relationship with people. We activate a community of people in Canada and elsewhere. We exchange. I send them my draft. They look at it, and we develop that dictionary. And immediately after that, we realized that there is no science. If we wanted to teach science, the kids have nothing. So we kind of immediately go along again. We create a English Haitian Creole science dictionary, and then on and on. Every time we find a problem, we try to find a solution. And again, another metaphor. Every time we find a solution, it becomes the beginning of a new problem. So, we kind of keep going, and keep going. we took a very simple approach. I go to the classroom, I sit down, look at the problem, know the corpus that I need to learn, and I develop material in a way that the student could very quickly understand, with illustrations and so on and so forth. But we did something a little bit different also. We want him or her to find in the library where they go, in the school library, to find their life present, linguistically, or images or visuals that tell about himself too, so that he could learn about the world but also find his experience validated here and also in Haiti. So we do bilingual dictionaries, we do medical, we do science, we do all. By the time we get to 12 dictionaries, I couldn't believe it. They are all specialized, more or less specialized, give the kids what they need. And we do pictorial dictionaries, we do mathematic dictionary with illustrations. So every time that we find that there is something that could help the kids get faster, get content, get concept, we develop it and keep going. And people tell us we're crazy, it's not sustainable, it's not going to do, but we're still doing it, still thinking it's not sustainable after 20 years. So we later on I'll tell you what are the plans for the future too. But the beauty of it is that we find ourselves part of a big community. That community have different people in it. You have people in academia, like people at University of Massachusetts in Boston. We have University of Indiana. We have University of Quebec of Montreal. We have people in faculty linguistic. And above all, this family kind of crystallized around what we're doing. We are inspiring what they are doing. They are inspiring what we're doing. And I identify 5 groups of people that make it feasible. The first group is my family. Really, they really give me the support. And I should say, Maude is with me day or night when I have a concern, when I have a concept, when I have a problem, when we need to develop something, and I don't have the resource immediately. The resource could be money, the resource could be time. She's always there, she always engaged into it, and she's good at emergencies. For example, if a machine is broken and FCAT exam is coming in 2 weeks and my machine is broken, I don't know where I could make it, she will run around and make a solution, find a solution. We also have a lot of colleagues around different schools, and some of them are volunteered, some of them, Ottawa in Haiti. If we send them a letter or now an email, they always respond and give us suggestions. And with so much so that we at Educa Vision, we develop protocols and procedures on how to come up with a new word in the language, especially in science, and and we bounce it around with all these people, and they always give us feedback. Another group of people that makes Educa Vision what it is are the critics. These are a group of passionate people, like sitting around and everything we publish something and make comments on it. It could be positive, it could be negative, it could be useful, it could be useless, but it's always there and it always inspires us, and we use what is good and we leave what is not. And we are passionate about it because they have a passion, and you know how critics criticize when things come up. So we use that resource. It's for us a valuable resource to develop what we're doing. Another group of people are the teachers and their students. We have teachers who call us and say, we need this, you don't have it. So we take, when we can, the suggestion immediately to work around what they need in the classroom for the student to succeed. We also have teachers that give us a lot of emotion. Sometimes we need emotion to move. I remember a teacher in Somerville in Boston. At the end of several school years, at least 5 school years. At the end of every year, she sent us 15, 20 letters from the students who have read La Famille Bon Plaisir, who have played theater using sketches from the book, and the student, part of their experience of giving feedback, would write to us and make comments, discuss, what they learn, what they like, what they dislike. Some even make suggestions on how the book of the future should, what issue we should write in the future. This also is a very interesting part of that community. These are the teachers and the students. A fifth group of people in the community in the history of Educa Vision are the employees. These are a very interesting bunch of people from, we've had Indians, Cubans, Puerto Ricans, Brazilians, Americans, oh I forgot Americans, African Americans, high school students. We have a lot of, in the 20 years, we've seen a lot of people working with us, making this happen through either from typing to marketing to distribution to making boxes to cleaning the place. It's a bunch. You should, if you get a chance to come to Florida, I know you go to Haiti sometime, guys, and if you get a chance, come and visit us. You will see it's a community. You will see things are not terribly formal. It flows sympathetically, and it's interesting to see that. And the sixth group is a group of customers. With the time, our customers change a lot. We say we do educational material that connect Haitian students. We have a broad array of customers, from the CDC, who is doing elephantiasis education in Leogane, to the government of Taiwan, who order books for diplomats. We have Americans who want to learn Creole. You name it. We are humbled and surprised all the time. But that doesn't make it a big company. It makes it a company that speaks with a lot of people. And we are proud of that kind of collaboration. The customer we have inside the United States and in Haiti. The core of our customers are in the United States and Haiti. But we have sent books to South Africa, to Indonesia, and I think probably there are diplomats from many countries in the world who are going to Haiti for one reason or another, would find us in the web and order books from us. And we got letters from people in Africa also reading La Famille Bon Plaisir. So today, we have books, we have CD, we have different media. We deliver on CD, on DVD, on book, on chart, on audio, and I wanted to give you a little show of what we have. To make it simple, we have 859 titles in 20 years. It's a lot. Maybe it's more than it is, because some of them, the same book exists in 3 formats: Haitian-Creole, Bilingual English Haitian-Creole, and in English by itself. So it's a lot, but we count them like it's one book that have 3 different presentations, for example. We have bilingual, monolingual. Now we are going into digital. On this I will tell you a little bit later. So let me show you our catalog. This is the main catalog. you will see that in the education section, you have different levels. In fiction, we have novel, poetry, short stories. We get multimedia. We got health, religion, culture, dictionaries, a lot of dictionaries. For example, look into. I think my, okay, good. So we get pictorial dictionaries. For example, this is English and French, English, Spanish, and we get a lot of dictionaries. This is our main dictionary. This dictionary is used for exam in Massachusetts, in New York, and in Florida. And these are pictorial. We also have some English, French that is used for the exams too, because some of the Haitian students prefer to have French dictionaries as opposed to Creole. Most of them want Creole, but some want French because they have good vocabulary in French, and they've been to schools where they've learned French. So we provide them also with material that they can use for exam. And this is a legal, mathematics, English Haitian Creole mathematics dictionary. We get social studies, Facebook, Portuguese. So we do have a lot of dictionary. This is English medical dictionary. I could tell you a little bit of a vignette for the English medical dictionary. After the earthquake in Haiti, we immediately, the first week of the earthquake, we received calls, email, communication from many places of the United States where MDs, doctors want to go to Haiti but don't know the language, and they wanted that dictionary, English Haitian Creole medical dictionary. So we were, because it is an emergency, and because they need it right away, and because we didn't want them to pay for it, we were sending them next day, every day, to California, to New York, to, and after, a few days, we spent so much money with FedEx that we feel exhausted. So what we did, immediately I called a programmer we work for, who has done some work on and off for us, and asked him to create a application for iPhone. In a couple of days, he created the app. We launched it on iPhone, and within 3 weeks, it's been downloaded 3,000 times in 3 weeks from several countries of the world. It was really something interesting and fascinating. It's happening very quick on the internet, and we get doctors writing to us from Haiti, sending email, telling it was useful because that at least it helped them with vocabulary, keywords to ask questions, because it not the medical dictionary not have themes like illustrations, and also have phrases that, depending on the context, that you could ask somebody, and the phrases are there in English and in Creole. So, and we also have the science dictionaries for students to learn or to have access, to have vocabulary, especially if they know the concept already but don't know the vocabulary in English. So, so we also have oops. So you could quickly see the website with all the elements that we have for K to 12. We also have 2 imprints. With Times, we developed 2 imprints. One is on the Caribbean. Haiti is part of the Caribbean, so we create an imprint that addresses those the issues or the needs or the concern of development of editorial issues regarding the Caribbean. And Carol Hollander, who is the publisher for Caribbean Studies Press, will speak to you about it in a little bit. We also have Educa Brazil. We have collaboration with Brazilians to develop materials for the Brazilian students in the United States. The second site we have, this one is quite interesting. That spot that we will be looking in the future. I'll give you a little glimpse now. It's interactive ebooks. You'll see we have about 100 books that a teacher or a parent could activate online and help the student to read in Creole or in English to acquire vocabulary in English or in Creole depending on the context. For example, this one is Bout Lilith, and you could, in a classroom, activate it.
Bout Lilith.
So the student could read.
Chamaxo, Destinataire Julian et Lopez.
So that the teacher would accompany the student in the classroom with reading. The word being read is activated, so the student could make the connection, help with literacy. And you could do it in Creole, you could do it in English.
Lilith,
And
c'est you Zandoli, qui get you bouquet. Lilith, jalouse, parce que Linette get you cake long.
we'll stop it the show here. I just wanted to tell you a little bit how we're seeing the future. On all the K to 12 program we have, for the last few years, we get a lot of communication with people from different culture asking us to mentor, to assist, and to help developing something similar for their community. We started by doing the Brazil, but now we change strategies. Instead of developing it ourselves, we mentor somebody in their community. For example, we are working now with a woman in Guatemala, from Guatemala in West Palm Beach County. She wants to develop material, not necessarily in Spanish, but in the language that a lot of people from Tikal area in Guatemala, they speak a language called Cachiquel or Canjobal, and we are helping them with resources, strategies, and approaches to develop educational materials for the bilingual educational material for the student from those areas in Guatemala. And also she hoped material, if we do it in Cachiquel or Canjobal, could be used in Guatemala also. So our experience, we at first our mission was to help the Haitian student regardless where he is. We still have this mission, but we added to collaborate with other people to help students regardless their set of circumstances, to help them learn and to access resources and to build depending on the choice that they make in life. At this point, I'm going to stop, and I will invite Maude to speak, give you more picture and less word. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for coming. This is a very important time for me, and it's good to share it with you because it's 20 years of my life. But I'm not the most important person here, but 20 years of Fekiere's life since he started this, and I feel honored to be a witness. So I am going to use the voice of a witness, somebody who has been there very close. I've seen Educa Vision coming from dream to reality. Well, as he said, he was a biochemist at USF, and probably a very lonely job, you know, a lot of bottles here, not too many people around. But talking a lot about DNA and about molecular biology, very scientific stuff, very important, of course. And at that time, you know, the team at University of South Florida were very involved in research and discovery, and it was very exciting. I thought he was very happy and content, not only because he was doing what he enjoys doing, but also because after work, he was helping students, high school, middle schools. We were living in the east coast of Florida, and they were just starting to see
West Coast.
the west coast, west coast of Florida at the time, Tampa and St. Petersburg. And this area was just seeing a new group of Haitian families and kids coming almost every week. And these kids were coming with no understanding of English, and teachers were worried that they were missing the connection with these students and with these families, because sometimes they will send message, give information to the kids to take home, and they won't have any answer. So they could not tell if it was negligence or lack of understanding. So in a way, Fequiere, myself, and many other Haitian professionals were supporting and helping the system to understand what was happening. So we're helping kids either for formal education or to understand the detailed life around them. And occasionally we will also assist providers explaining to them, well, if you don't speak Creole, but this is the way the Haitian culture is, etc., etc. Well, this was very fulfilling, but I think he was not very satisfied. So he did a lot of thinking and planning. He was like, well, something is not working. Too many kids were falling in the crack, and too many calls. People were calling us days and time. And I know the system tried to get used from the Red Cross, calling people from the Red Cross, people who would answer questions, help through the phone. But they really needed some presence. They really needed something more solid than occasional call to professionals who sometimes could not respond. So, well, he did his thinking and planning, and what was to happen happened. With determination and vision, he said goodbye to his career and started with some good luck. No guarantees, because, well, people will tell you, well, that's so beautiful, but with hope, everything will turn out great. Well, as he said, he went home and hired somebody to help with typing and everything, and start to complete the first dictionary that he told you about, the B000, the English Creole English Dictionary. And continued some bilingual materials, because once we were writing, we realized there were money. He gave us, well, we had to start, making shelves to put these books that were coming. So that's our garage then, and days and night, I don't know when he started using the hammer, but he did the shelves, more shelves, and we have to keep focused day and night to get more shelves, because we were going to start producing books. We have to find a place to put them. And of course, I continue my career in public health, as he said, not only to feed him, but myself too. We realized very soon that Educa Vision was becoming a valuable resource for students, teachers, parents, institutions, and community. He had to wake up, of course, very early at the wee hours with a cup of coffee in his hand, probably 4 o'clock in the morning, to drive and go to places where they were having conferences, and standing now to start showing the first books that came the first 2-3 years. Educa Vision was born. Of course, it was no longer a matter of being at the university talking biochemistry. You had to fill boxes, carry them to UPS or to FedEx. But we were happy that Educa Vision had books in libraries. We realized at that point we were not only helping one student, but we were helping many students. The kids now start having bilingual materials. Some of them were Haitian-Creole, and you can see their face. Now they understand what was in the books, preparing them to learn to read in English. And this was happening not only in Florida, but also to New York, elsewhere. we were sending books and different materials for students. Then we realized we have to create interest for the books. So we start promoting storytelling, visiting libraries, media centers, and telling the kids what was coming in the new books, so they got more excited. We encourage writing contests. Now that we told you about that book, write something about it. We encourage art contests. That's a Haitian flag. Helping the kids to get a connection with their roots. Some of them now are living in the United States with identity crisis. Who am I? Is it okay to be Haitian? Should I forget that I'm a Haitian? Shouldn't I be American instead? So we were trying to help the kids bridging generations. I took in the schools what we call OSLE. I believe in the United States they call it, I don't remember that game, how they call it, but you have to collect, you just lift something up and then you collect, you grab something on the jacks. Okay, so we have the Haitian version of jacks. So showing to the kids, well, in Haiti we didn't have jacks, but this is what we had. Telling them stories about what their mom, their dad, and their grandparents may have lived in Haiti. Teaching them songs in Creole to let them know about Haitian songs, Haitian dance, and that was a way really to draw their attentions to reading, learning, and be excited about Haitian Creole, Haitian literature, Haitian culture. We also cross the line to go to other cultures, because in many schools, not only you find Haitian kids, you find Hispanic and American and Brazilian. So we wanted the kids from other culture to know also about the culture of Haiti, to let them know about the books. By then we were not only writing books in Creole, but also books on Haiti in English, or in French, or in Haitian Creole, of course. Okay, we sit in the schools with kids and tell them about Haiti, about culture, about their Haitian friends. Why they have an accent, why their names are different. We really wanted the kids to realize that being Haitian has something unique about it, but at the same time, it's a universal experience. We're not that far from each other. Cultures, really, you just have to push the door and you already cross the other culture. Then we became a support for the teachers, providing them materials they can use for students. In turn, they invite us to come to the classroom. In this particular picture, it was in Boston many years ago. This teacher invited me for me to see how Haitian students were using our books. There was a boy who decided to play the role of Antoinette, one of my female characters in one of my books. I was kind of surprised that the boy decided to play the role of a lady. When he stood, they did some acting with the book. Not only he read the part Antoinette was supposed to say, but when he walked across the classroom with some gestures that were not mentioned in the book, I was amazed, like, wait a minute, where did he get that? The book doesn't say that Antoinette walked that way. And when I asked him that question, he said, Madam, the way Antoinette talked, she has to walk that way. What I'm trying to say here is that he understood the story so well. He get connected culturally so much with the book that he put his own addition to it. Now he ended up helping me to describe the character that I invented. It was also in that classroom that a boy asked me what I'm going to do with Dieudonné. Dieudonné is one of the secondary characters of my book La Famille Bon Plaisir. I never thought bringing back Dieudonné until that boy asked me, what are you going to do with him? And I said, I haven't thought about it. Do you have an idea? He said, well, I don't have an idea, but I can tell you, like Dieudonné, I am a petit dehors. You know the word? He is a son born outside of the marriage. So he identified with this character. And he said, and I'm living with my stepmom. Every day she said, nothing good will come out of me. And I would like for you to tell me what's your plan with Dieudonné. So in other words, this boy is in a dead end. He is looking for a role model. Now we realize as authors and as publisher at Educa Vision, we're not only publishing books, but we are also contributing to shape lives of children. And I never forget this classroom because I went to learn. I went, because the teacher wanted me to meet the kids, for the kids to know there are Haitian authors too. Haitians are not only people who have problems, who have this, who have that. There are Haitians who have a regular quote-unquote life. I end up receiving a lot of lessons, learning a lot from these students because they shape my future books. We went to public libraries to promote family readings because the books can be on the shelves if the parents are not motivated to read. If the kids, when they read, the parents don't allow them, don't even give a space in the house where they can have their books, read, we will not go too far. We want to encourage the parents to read with the kids, or if they don't speak English, listen to their kids reading and ask the kids what it is about. What that brought is an interest from the parents, especially those who have limited education, to read as well and to know about our books. We also went to the schools where they have Megaskills program, which are after-school program for parents to teach them better parenting skills, including reading. This brought us to the next steps. Educa Vision also is a resource for organizations, institutions doing research. In this particular picture, you see a meeting where we meet with the University of South Florida College of Public Health team because they were using our expertise for data collection and to shape a research project that they had on the Haitian community in Florida. And we provide training to their staff. Also, we got involved with the CDC. Well, it was a meeting. We were eating some Juriapua in Haiti, Leogan, for specifically the filariasis program. We provide consultant service. I lived in Leogan for about 2 months to understand the problem in order to create soap opera for education, because we believe in educating while entertaining. So in this particular project, not only we had a video, we also had audio soap opera, but it also came with song. And it was my surprise when I went to Leogan to find that the kids like rap, so we had to do some rap music. The adult like some type of more religious sounds music. We created 6 to 7 type of melodies in order to convey the educational message that we wanted to convey. All that we did from Educa Vision office going to Haiti, of course. So we developed the material with this team. We did the training and the assessment and evaluation of the project. Of course, we took that opportunity to create teamwork and do some socialization so we stay connected with the Haitian community in Haiti. Educa Vision is also a support to Haitian authors. Many of them publish with us and have published for the first time. Some are well-known publishers like Edwidge Danticat, but we promote, buy, and sell her book. We have authors way older. I don't know if you recognize this man, what's her name again, Fequiere? Felix Maurice Lewa. He is a pioneer in writing in Haitian-Creole. And of course, we have American authors like Kiki Latimer and others. So Educa Vision's book are focusing on Haiti, on the Haitian culture and Haitian concerns. But at this point, we are open very much into authors writing different books. And Kiki Latimer has written books about realities in Rhode Island. And Educa Vision is the publisher of her 2 books. Educa has been, since day one, since beginning of the 20 years involved in the community, promoting literature, promoting Haitian culture, promoting adult literacy, functional literacy, and we even went broadcasting worldwide with Voice of America. We went from a few titles to more titles, to many more titles, and to many, many more titles, 800 plus. From that point on, you can see that Educa is now reaching out everywhere where there is a need to know about the Haitian culture, Haiti, or authors who happen to have subjects that may be relevant to, let's say, India, but at the same time relevant to Haiti. So I don't think we are limiting ourselves to producing books that are relevant to Haiti. We have been able to do this thanks to teachers we meet during conferences, doing fairs, exchanging addresses. Some teachers have been very dynamic into participating, publishing, criticizing, and we have welcomed their contribution. We have also received support from Haitian scholars, some of them who masters the Creole language in terms of grammar and everything. They have supported us. At that point, I left and said goodbye to my career in public health and start being on board full time. But it's more than Fequiere and Maude. We have motivated personnel, people who have worked with us for 10 years, like Kessia Corbett, Jean-Evans Barrett, and we have new college students working into the music, recording. While we're doing this, we allow Fequiere to expand the dream. So it's always, packing to go somewhere to go promote Educa. This is one of the previous buildings where Educa was. Educa relies on a diverse staff for material development and revision, marketing and promotion, production and shipping, public relations, and others. Educa kept in touch with Canada. We went and met the Société Kukui, and particularly Hippolyte. He is one of the great scholars in Haitian-Creole. He has reviewed and criticized some of our books, and we appreciate that. Montreal had welcomed us. We went online and talked about, on radio and talked about Educa Vision and our mission. We also went to Haiti. In Haiti, we have been invited by the National Library. They have allowed us to display our books. We have been very happy to see the response of the people who watched in to come with a smile to see books in Creole, books that has illustrations with faces that look like their face. People felt that these books connect with them, and we are glad to keep that connection alive. We have connected with Haitian students too. Our books are being used in Haiti, in the countryside of Haiti, in places like La Gonave in Haiti, in other cities. People send us pictures, teachers send us pictures to show us that they have used our materials. In Haiti, we have developed connection with the teachers. They come to attend our seminars, our training. We have also connected with the media in Haiti, where they wanted us to say on the radio that even in the United States they valorize Creole. So we Haitian, we have to valorize Creole. We had talk shows about our books, and people respond very dynamically. This gives us the feeling that in the US, in Haiti and elsewhere, Educa Vision was needed, is needed, and what we are doing is of a certain importance. We have received awards from Société Coucou in Canada. We received award from the Haitian Studies Association, and we have also received the support of Minister of Education of Haiti. When I say support, in other words, they will come and shake our hands when we come for displays. We caught the attention of President, like President Manigat, who looked at our books with interest. and came to our stand to say, wow, you have grown since the first 2-3 books, now you have 500, 600. Also, the Haitian physicians also have shown us support by buying our books or by reading our books and telling us they appreciate what we're doing. But we keep focusing in our mission. Located in Florida since 1991, we do what we do every day, working, preparing, publishing, and getting books out. This is our locale now where we are. Our operating building is in Pompano Beach. The purpose of showing you these slides is not to show you a beautiful place where everything is in order. We are always working hard with a lot of box around us. And although we are open from 10 to 5, this is the official hour, but a sales and marketing department, translation and recording, material development department, and so on, we are always in motion. And that's Educa, if you ever come to visit. The only area that take a break, really, the orders and shipping department follow more or less regular business schedule hours. Otherwise, we are always working. So books everywhere, excuse me, oh, I just missed that one. And if you see, we have like a second floor, an area on the second floor, that's the music and multimedia section. Educa today is not only doing books, but we also do translation and recording for some organizations. We are now talking about Educa 5, which is going digital. We are exploring Maude. We're doing online training, and we are looking to electronic books soon. Educa's future appears bright, as you can see, because of the dreams that continues. But we know one thing, it was a man's dream that became reality. I'm going to thank you very much for your time, interest, and support in this story. I wrote it with pictures that was taken, most of them a while ago, with no intention to show them to you, otherwise it would have been perfect. But when came the time for me to talk to you, I realized there was no better way to support what I have to say than to use those pictures and to show you what a witness have seen. Thank you.
My first association with Educa Vision was as the occasional English language consultant. But as a veteran book editor, I could not keep my hands off the publications, whether or I could read them or not. And I was quickly drawn into Haitian history and culture. Fequiere, as you have heard, is an educator at heart. And as I began to learn about this remarkable and maligned country, I realized that the canon of American history had somehow managed to largely overlook our neighbor Haiti and its revolution that resulted in the first Black Republic. Indeed, the whole of Caribbean experience has been generally treated as a stepchild of North American, South American, European, or African history, regardless of the fact that the region was really the first global economy, with competing powers fighting over the riches of these small islands and territory. More recently, however, there has been a shift in historical perspective, and the concept of the Atlantic world encompassing Europe, North America, and the west coast of Africa has gained currency, and this approach really situates the Caribbean at the center of this universe. Improved research capabilities, largely in the form of data mining, have enabled detailed accounting and examination of the actual workings of the trade that was the engine that drove the Atlantic world. An example of these efforts is the Atlas of the Transatlantic Slave Trade, which was published by Yale in 2010, but it is a singular achievement and contribution to the historical record. So the field of Caribbean studies has been revitalized in part by this focus, but more important, the field is reinvigorated by the presence of the substantial Caribbean diaspora, particularly in the US and Canada. Indeed, the diaspora is at the heart of Educa Vision itself. So it seemed entirely fitting for Educa to expand from Haitian educational materials and Creole into this larger field, as well as into the English language, thus situating Haiti and Haitian Americans in the context of the greater Caribbean. The first book published by Caribbean Studies Press, fittingly, was Revolutionary Freedoms, A History of Survival, Strength, and Imagination in Haiti, which is an edited collection of essays by scholars and writers to accompany the historical paintings of renowned Haitian American artist Ulrich Jean-Pierre that are included in the book. This book had its genesis in New Orleans, and about half of the contributors lived in and worked at various academic and cultural institutions in that city. Hurricane Katrina ravaged New Orleans and disrupted our production schedule as the artists and various contributors scrambled to evacuate. Ulrich's studio was destroyed by the flooding, along with some of his paintings, including some in this book. We were well into production at the time, but our communication for months was more about who was where and what had been lost than page proofs. A pan-Caribbean focus was one of the founding tenets of the press, and so we have looked to publish resources with this perspective, even as the Caribbean itself struggles with the concept of a unified Caribbean. The efforts of CARICOM to shape the French, English, and Spanish-speaking nations into a Caribbean community and single market economy are evidence of the reluctance of relatively new independent states to relinquish some of their autonomy and to cooperate as a region. Developing an atlas of the Caribbean was a priority from the inception of the press. There were high school atlases and beautiful oversized books of Caribbean scenery, but an authoritative reference on Caribbean geography seemed lacking. With persistence and luck, we found a team of field geographers at the University of Indiana, Indianapolis, with Caribbean experience who were as interested in the project as we were. They relentlessly and successfully pursued grant opportunities within and outside of their university to fund further field work and to purchase remote sensing images. It was exciting to see the team off at the Miami airport for this field work. The result was Caribbean Landscapes, an interpretive atlas, which identifies geographic features that are common to the islands of the Caribbean without losing the distinctiveness of individual places. In this, it differs from a traditional island-by-island survey, but this reference may help to shape a new view of the Caribbean with this geographic perspective. Another book with a pan-Caribbean focus is Fieldwork Identities in the Caribbean, in which a variety of young anthropologists reflect very frankly about their often confusing experiences of conducting fieldwork in 6 Caribbean nations. Combined, the essays reflect the complexity of Caribbean identity. However, in some cases, our pan-Caribbean focus is evidenced by the variety of cultures and issues addressed. For example, the little-known saga of Japanese immigrants to the Dominican Republic is detailed in Immigration and Politics in the Caribbean. This immigration scheme was part of President Rafael Trujillo's plan to whiten the Dominican Republic. The scheme appealed to a post-war Japan that was desperate to find room for the Japanese nationals being repatriated after the loss of the Japanese territories. Similarly, music of the Indian diaspora in Trinidad closely documents the importance of the traditional ceremonies and music in maintaining identity in this South Asian diaspora, as well as how the traditions have evolved. Here we have a diaspora from South Asia to the Caribbean, as the British Empire was desperate for agricultural labor after the abolition of slavery on the island. As there was a severe drought in India, the prospect of indentured labor proved appealing to many poor farmers. The press has ventured into an examination of contemporary literature in the Dominican Republic with divergent dictions, an expanded version of the original which was published in Spanish and then was translated with the support of a grant from the University of Toronto. The divergent dictions in this case is the literature reflecting the Black experience in the Dominican Republic, which was excluded from the literary canon by the same logic that considered the Japanese white. Any concept of the Caribbean would be incomplete without a consideration of the substantial Caribbean diaspora in the U.S. Two recent books of ours concentrate on very different aspects of the experiences of these immigrants. Social Networks and the Mental Health of Haitian Immigrants is the first book to provide empirical information about the social structures that these immigrants form, and it should prove invaluable to service providers working with them. The researchers conducted careful, longitudinal studies to parse the important aspects of immigrant Haitian society. Voodoo Brooklyn, 5 Ceremonies with Mambo Marie Carmel, documents a different sort of experience, which is voodoo ceremonies as practiced in a Brooklyn apartment house basement by members of the Haitian diaspora in New York. This work of photojournalism brings the religion closer to the uninitiated than any other work on the subject that I have seen, an opinion that is shared by prominent voodoo scholars and practitioners. In conclusion, forthcoming books from the press continue to include more aspects of Caribbean culture, such as the soon-to-be-published Cuba, The Struggle for Consumption, as well as the worldwide reach of the Caribbean in the book Globalizing Rasta, Film, Literature, Music, and Religion. Thank you.
I am going to speak with you now about what we envision in the future, what is in the pipeline, and how we envision it. But before I do that, I bring one of the students. I said that we have a lot of students that comes when they are in high school. They come, they learn skills, they do work, they sometimes do things you don't expect a high school student to do, like publish a book, and that does pretty good. And some of the students who have worked for us part-time, high school students, have graduated high school. Some of them went to college, graduated in college, and some of them, even after graduation college, come to work with Educa, in a short-term or part-time as a consultant with us. Today I have the pleasure to bring one of them. She was a high school student until about 3 days ago she graduated, and now she's getting ready to college. I would like her as a student to tell a little bit of the history. Tatiana Graham.
Distinguished audience, for the last 2 years, I had the opportunity to work at Educa Vision during summer. Other students like me worked at Educa before. Some graduated for college and moved on. Some keep looking forward to come back the following summer. Working at Educa is an excellent experience for me. I got a job that also gives me plenty of opportunity to learn either new computer program or new ways to see and appreciate books. Just to realize all the energy it may take for an author to write a manuscript, all the expertise it takes the staff of at Educa to turn ink and paper into a formatted book, make me wonder how much more energy it may take to market it and to finally to and to it may take to market it and finally place it in the hand of customer. As for me, I am sure that what I learned at Educa will have an everlasting impact on me and will transfer my interest to book toward unlimited horizons. Thank you for listening to me.
Nana is a very disciplined student. She came to United States. She used to come in summers to work, but she come to United States to go to high school here after the earthquake in Haiti. And she does pretty well. She graduated with honors, and she does very well. Where are we heading? We would like to put a lot of effort in the education in Haiti, the landscape education in Haiti. We want to contribute as much as we can to make material available in Haiti and to make it available not only in urban area but also in rural area. We in September 1st, 2011, we are going to inaugurate an online class for the first grade fundamental. The whole content, the Haitian curriculum content, will be online for teachers to display in their classroom if they have access, to get back to get lesson plan if they can print them. The whole first year content, activities, assessment, and will be there. And we're doing it in collaboration with several teachers in Haiti and in Miami-Dade, a teacher from Miami-Dade and Palm Beach County. Broward County. We do that even though the computer penetration is limited in Haiti. We decide to do it anyways because it will come someday. In doing so, we realize a lot of things. Every time we bring a problem, it's the beginning of, when we bring a solution, it's the beginning of a new problem. In doing this, for example, the first year fundamental in Haiti, we realize that the preschooling environment in Haiti is not very well structured. There are a lot of preschoolers, but the program is not necessarily standardized, and there is not necessarily, there is a curriculum for the equivalent of K-12, but preschool, there is no, national guidelines. So we decided also to work in that area. So in the preschooler, this is what we've done, and we are excited about it, and I'm not the right person to talk about it because I'm not an exciting person. But this is what we've done. We work with people in education, and we identify 24 skills that a child should develop in order to get ready for the first year fundamental. these 24 skills are classified into 4 domains: emotional, collaboration, work together, being in comfort in the classroom. The second is physical skills like gross motor skill, fine motor skill, how to hold your pen, write a text, draw something, all the use of scissors, and so. And then the fourth is pre-writing, pre-reading skills like understanding the sound of the letters, how they mix word, etc. And the fourth one, I know you're going to think of the fifth one, but I will not say it. The fourth one is mathematic reasoning. So in this 4 domain, we identified 24 skills, 6 each of the 4 domains, and for each domain, each skills, we have a booklet with activities, a guide for either the teacher in the preschooling environment or the parents could use with the children. They are all in Creole. And what is more exciting, even though I don't say it excitingly, is that for all skills, all the 24 skills, we identified 24 toys, and each toy will validate or encourage or develop or stimulate one particular skill. This program we're putting together, we'll inaugurate it probably a bit 1 month before school open. Now we're working on the toys. The skills are developed, the continuum is developed. We went to Haiti about a couple of months. When I say we, Educa Vision and another company in Maryland. Michigan, I got the wrong M. In Michigan, called Mother Goose Times. And we were developing this together. We went to Haiti to do our training, and that was my first visit in Haiti after the earthquake. I went there with a lot of inquietude, worries, how it's going to happen, how I'm going to feel to see all this big building collapse and all that. When I get there, we had 72 teachers participating in the conference. They bring me, I was there to give them encouragement, to make, to give them encouragement. They give me more than I brought to them. The passion they put in education, educating the children, the commitment that they have to see the kids through, and also the motivation that they have to learn what we need to say, to collaborate, to exchange with, or to develop material themselves in the classroom. We bring somebody to teach them how to show them, for example, how you could make material with what you have. In other words, stones, leaves, imprint, all kinds of stuff. They are so passionate about it that it brings us energy. As they say in the song, it brings wind beneath our wings. Isn't it right? So this is where we're going. And as we bring solution, we identify solution, we also identify new problems. We realize that the classroom has no library, so we design a portable library that has 100 books for every grade. One simple box, one simple book. Let me see if I could get to it. One simple box, 100 books for what the teacher needs in the classroom. And as we go, also we notice that we could have a digital library. So we are working now to develop a digital library of education materials connected to all Haiti. So we say that in September 1st we'll have the first grade online. Additionally, we'll have another broader area. It's a digital library where we'll have all material that we have, all different levels, reference material, historical material, social science material, thesis on Haiti that authors want to collaborate or contribute. We'll have that digital library for the teachers to either as a reference for themselves or for the student to go and learn to do, all the students to do their own homework. So the digital library, this is where it's going to be. This is where the portal. I'll show you the dictionaries and okay. So I showed you earlier the read along kids things that the kids to do in the classroom on the home with the teachers so they could read for them. And we also would mention that we're working with Moodle. Moodle, I don't know if you're familiar with it, is a learning system management. It's a learning management system where you put the whole program, a class. For example, we're going to use it mostly for teachers training. For example, you could organize a training for 6 weeks, the first week, second week, third week, or by theme. A teacher will come there and in their own time, asynchronously, they could come and take a training on, multiple intelligence or any other concept that we find interesting, or corporal punishment. How long is that? So that the teacher could independently go there, learn skills that would inform their education and hopefully help the student learn better, perform better, not only on a small scale, but on a wider scale than we have now. We hope that children, as many as possible in Haiti, and as many as possible here in the United States or outside Haiti, have opportunities to learn, functionally, formally, and also independently, regardless where they live, in urban or rural, regardless what neighborhood they live in the urban section, regardless they're in the Bahamas, United States, Dominican Republic, or in Haiti. We, in Haiti in particular, we hope that this will happen soon, and there is an effort, either social, financial, and analytical effort to conceive and implement an educational system that is sustainable. And I know the word sustainable doesn't apply necessarily to education, but we have to put some element of sustainability to the system. It doesn't mean necessarily that the student have to pay, but it means that we need to put some critical and analytical element in developing a school system that will guarantee some kind of sustainability or long-term capabilities. And we want to collaborate with everybody, religious group, institutional, NGO, government, to make this happen. The prize for me is very simple, and I have my brain, my mind, and my eye on the prize: the education of the children, regardless where they are. Thank you.
I wish to thank the speakers for an absolutely wonderful presentation. As always, it has been inspiring to listen to you speak. I have watched you develop your dream. I congratulate you. And I am so very, very happy that we have been able to document this, because you are making such an important contribution to the children of today and the adults of tomorrow. And now I would like to invite the speakers to sit at the table here in the front and to take questions from the audience.
Well, thank you for this presentation. My name is Catalina and I work at the Hispanic Division. My question is, after the earthquake, what other involvement did Educa Vision have, a part of the medical dictionary?
The earthquake changed my life. We did 4 different things, and at first they were kind of not organized because of the emergency reality of it. First, we provide material electronically on book form to the MDs going to Haiti. Second, we send books, especially board books. We have very sturdy board books for children that we send to camps, and especially medical camps where there were some people reading for the kids, waiting or having all kinds of suffering. So there were volunteers. Many people contacted us and asked us to send books to read for the in the tents. We sent some. We didn't send all of them, all that everybody asked, but we select some. We send books for reading in the tent environment. Third thing we did also is that we sent materials to some NGOs who had a special program for children with emotional distress. So some of them give us their materials, we print for them, and we send them to professionals who were gathering around, family meeting, parents. So we send this. So medical reading material, stress, psychological support material, and the fourth things we did, I don't remember that, but I know we did something else, and we also, some radio station call us and ask us to put them in contact with people. We put them in contact with people, and they give especially what to do, hygiene. Oh yeah, this is the fourth. The fourth is that when the cholera infection started developing, many people from Indiana asked us to develop brochure on how to wash hands, how to very concrete, specific visuals to just display around for people to look at and react to. These are the 4 things that we did. I mean specifically to associate with that. Yes, you had a question, right?
Yeah, my name is Franz, and I was born in Haiti too. And one thing I learned, like when I moved to the States, when people talking about they're doing something for Haiti, it's always in Port-au-Prince, and I know in Haiti they have like 10 departments now. If you add all the population from the other 9 departments, you got way more people than the West. So, are you planning on getting this to the to the villages like northeast, southwest? Are you planning on getting? How people that live in those areas will have access for?
Well, you're right. There is a lot of concentration in Port-au-Prince. Everybody's doing something in Port-au-Prince. There are things that need to be done. One of them is that the government should also make an effort to decentralize. In other words, to create some offices outside of Port-au-Prince. That is not my domain, but I will stay in my domain though. But there need to be a legal support and functional support to facilitate the decentralization of Port-au-Prince, number one, and also to give access to education, to resources, to internet, to communication capabilities outside of Port-au-Prince in rural area. We are fortunate at Educa Vision that many of our customers, I didn't talk much about our customers. Our customers are teachers, student, school system, NGOs, but a lot of church in United States do activities in Haiti. And many of them, and I will say the one that I do a lot of, communication, who sometimes invite us to go to their site to do teachers training or to speak with the students. They are outside of Haiti. I'm sorry, outside of Port-au-Prince. For example, Maude went to teacher training in Jacmel. This group here, you have activities in Port-de-Paix. I went to Jarabel as a volunteer to do some work, and there is an effort, especially, believe it or not, from people from outside of Haiti going to Haiti, like the Haitian in the diaspora, the church organization here, some of the NGOs. I know a lot of them that are in Port-au-Prince, no doubt about it, but some of the NGOs go to rural areas too. And you are right. Most of the resources concentrate in Haiti, but I get good news for you, and I hope it is good news that is durable. A lot of people are thinking and are doing effort to go outside of Port-au-Prince and do and provide opportunity for learning, for communication, for training, for learning a trade. And the vignette I could give you is that I went personally to Jarabel, Maude and I, as volunteer. And Maude 2 years ago sent about a lot of books to outside of Jérémie, and now we're in our activities for September. There is a school in Hesh who wants to volunteer and do a pilot project with our digital project to have first grade online. So there is some effort going there. You're right, and everybody talks about it, but I hope that the tendency now to go out of Port-au-Prince, especially after the earthquake, will continue, and that will build the capacities outside of Port-au-Prince.
I want also to add that not only we have been going to Jacmel and in the countryside of Jacmel, countryside of Okai, so that's for the south, and for the Pay, Jarabel, everywhere that we have an opportunity to go, because you just cannot pack and go like that. So we have gone. But also, there are people or organizations, I would call them multiplier agents, people who are also making these books, making these resources going there. Either Haitian teachers who are committed to go to Haiti on a regular basis, or American who have projects in Haiti, wherever there are some level, can be minimal, of infrastructure and needed or identified. Books can go there. I personally received years ago a bunch of letters, a bunch of letters from a group of American and Haitian American who went to somewhere very far in the center, what they call the Département du Centre in Haiti. They brought the book La Famille Bon Plaisir with them. And although originally the idea was to read it with teachers so teachers can use it for students, they end up also reading it at night as storytelling for the community. People will sit under a pied mapou and they will read and laugh about the stories in this book. The letters I received are letters from people who heard, not necessarily people who know how to write. They just listened and tell people, okay, write that letter for me to send to that author. Interestingly, I received different type of comments, either because people spent a great summer because every night they read a couple of pages, or also because they had questions. In that particular book, La Famille Bon Plaisir, the family called the Bon Plaisir left Haiti almost one by one, and the last one to stay was a teacher, a school teacher, Gérard. Gérard stayed in Haiti. Teachers sent me notes and asking me why, but why did you leave the teacher behind? You know, we teachers, we are not lucky. In Haiti, we make no money, and then now everybody leaves and leaves us behind. I had to write back to let them know why. It's because Gérard had that social conscience and didn't want to leave just because he wants a better life for himself, but also he was doing something important in Haiti. His time had not come yet, and not everybody needs to leave Haiti. So, you know, there is that interaction. Of course, we need to do more. We need to go further. The day that we reach all the cardinal point of Haiti will be a great day. We still have a lot to do, a lot of steps to make, but we cannot do it alone. And I think we are crossing the bridge with those multiplier agents, either organizations like yours or others, religious or teachers, who are also interested to go there, because you cannot just go and drop books, you know, from a helicopter. You know, it will not necessarily be that efficient as a relief thing. You need some level of infrastructure. It can be a portable library, which is wonderful. We have one style that you can roll it around and take it from a village to a village. But definitely it's good that you bring that up. We need to do more, but we have been doing something.
Okay. You had a question?
My question is, do you have English curriculum for Creole-speaking students?
No, we don't. We have some material to learn English, right?
Right.
Yeah, we have some material. As we never thought of developing it, and now I see where we're coming, and I see the value of doing it. When the student come to United States, we try to give him tools to succeed, but we know and we realize that there are a lot of materials already here. What we did, instead of developing a complete system, we develop material that support what is there already. But your context is different.
Yes, if I understand right, when the student comes here, he learns English because he's in an English environment. But I'm trying to teach English in a Creole environment.
Yes, yes,
And I will
yes.
also add to what Fequiere says, that we have some bilingual books, and all our Creole English books, you know, from K to 12 can be used for that matter.
Do you have both languages in the book? Or do you
Both
have one
languages in the
Creole-
book.
Yeah.
Yes.
One book that has Creole and English side by side.
Correct, yes.
We have almost all the K to 5 books, not the 6 to 12. Almost all the K to 12 books, we have them in 3 formats. One that is only in Creole, and one that has both in the same book, the English, and I brought some sample, I don't know where I put them, English and Creole in the same page, so
That's
that
good.
teacher could use them.
Another question I have is about the portable library. Is there 100 books per grade or 100 books for all the
Okay.
grades?
The way we organize it is that we have a list from K to 2, a list from 2 to 5, and a list that is 5 and 6. And some of the book repeats.
Okay.
What people do sometimes is they say, give me K to 2. Or they say, give me one library but stretch it K to 12. It's K to 5.
Okay.
So what they will end up having is 100 books
Okay.
with the selection of different
Together.
lists.
Do you have a catalog, or how would I find out what books are in the library, or what it would cost to purchase a portable library?
In the website, there's a section that it says download. I could show it to you. www.educavision.com. Have you ever seen our website?
I don't have internet.
Okay. All right. So
But we
I
can
could send you a
printed.
catalog.
Yes.
That's what I need.
I could send you a catalog. Actually, when I go, I know we've been speaking with you before. Now that we've seen you, it's a different thing. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So give me ways again, and I will send you my,
Printed catalogs.
a catalog, and we could send you some sample of materials too
Yes,
that we
well,
can use in your
If you still have
class.
Simon's address, if you send it to him,
Yes.
I'll get it.
Yes.
Okay, I had one more question. The other question is, on this catalog, will it have all your materials so that I would know how to get them if we want them for our school?
Yes.
And will it have prices or however?
Yes.
Okay.
I would like to add two comments. One of them, while you are on site working with the Haitian community, if you identify a need and you wish there were a book available on the subject,
Let us
you
know.
may also want to contact us to let us about it, either because you want to publish that book or you would like for us to find somebody interested to write it. Because there is nothing like being in the field and identifying needs. Once you know that the book is needed, then we are at our best to connect and get that books ready for you.
Yeah, I understand. I'll do that.
Yes,
Thank you.
please. You're welcome.
My name is Simon. I am with a group, we have a mission at Heurtelou, and I was the one of the first ones that was sent to our mission as we began there. And so as I found myself in a foreign culture with a foreign language, it was a struggle to me to learn the language. But it was not long after I was there that I became aware that these people had very few books to read. And I think reading is so important in developing the mind. Another thing that has become impressed in my mind is the fact that parents can't read stories to their children. And there's something about parents reading stories to their children that helps them even before they go to school, that helps them to develop an understanding of books, writing, education, an understanding of other people's lives, the problems that other people face in their lives and how they overcome those problems. At the same time, an older gentleman with me told me, he said, "I'll sweep the floor, you write." And that began a inspiration to me to do what I could to make some materials available for these people. So our work has began. It's a Mennonite. We began as a church group because of a migrant worker that came to our community and wanted to become part of our church. And now we have grown to having a school. I'm not sure what was the enrollment in the past year.
57.
Our enrollment there in the school was 57. And then since the earthquake, there were other church groups that we affiliate with that came to us and said that you're established in Haiti. We want you to take a step in helping with this rebuilding. And so we have begun a rebuilding work in Côte d'Ivoire, which is in the southern part of Haiti. So for myself, I have began a small print shop. I have published 2 books that I've translated into Creole for children because of the interest in providing something for these children to read. But most of the things that I've published is Bible study material for use in our church, Sunday school literature, as well as some other books for Bible study material. One question that has come to me, and this is not necessarily in relation to education, but something I think I see as I study the language. Since I have come home, I spend a lot of time reading my Creole Bible, the Bible, to keep myself current with the language. I also read the book Socialization, and I noticed a different style in the writing between the Bible and the Socialization. How do you explain that difference? Are both easily understood by the Haitian people? My concern in my work is that what I'm doing is understandable to the Haitian people, because I'm not naturally born Haitian.
I could Yeah, immediately I have three questions, but I could answer without necessarily having the answer to my questions. The Bible, Biblia, was, first of all, I must say that in Haiti, especially in rural area, there is a tremendous passion to learn to read with the purpose of reading the Bible. And the Bible has always been, regardless of language, a source for or a motivation for literacy in Haiti. I've seen it as a kid. I used to go to camp, and I've seen it. There is a group in Switzerland, or in Europe. I think it's Switzerland. It's World Bible Society, who translated the Haitian-Creole Bible. That was many years ago, probably 25, 30 years ago. Then the orthography was not as defined as it is, maybe 20 years ago, 15, 20 years ago. So the version of the Bible you have may have been with the orthography before, there is a not a standardization, but at least a clean and clear definition for the orthography and some of the element of the syntax of Haitian Creole. So if the Bible was done, 20 years ago, probably there's an issue of orthography. Is that right? Do you see accent aigu, for example?
No, the current edition of the Bible I have is in the most new. There is a new, and I have one of those that I use.
Okay. I know that there was there was to be a new edition of the Bible with all the orthographical issues resolved. Probably, let's assume that you have one of those. The spelling should be pretty much the same, except for maybe three elements. One is the apostrophe, and the other one with the hyphen. Is that what
Yes,
you notice
yes.
also?
Yes.
Okay. Then if it's that, not orthography per se, the issue is stylistic. One that, and both are correct. Although I don't see them in front of mine, but I'm assuming that there is a tendency in a writing style not to use the hyphen unless you have a long word, and also there's an issue of the pronoun, the complements, and the what was the third element? People use apostrophe for the
Contractions?
for the pronoun. I'm losing my mind now. So if the issue is that issue as apostrophe and hyphen, where to use them, when to use them, and not to use them, it's a stylistic issue. At Educa Vision, we've selected to use a stylistic approach that is very simple. We don't use the apostrophe, we don't use the hyphen. So you will see that she doesn't use it at all. Mm.
I would like to add two more things. One, saisissement is also fiction. So when you're writing fiction style, it is different than the Bible that supposedly is reporting a fact. So the figurative, all the spice and brodery and the artwork of creating a character. And in my case, for example, even some Creoles, sometimes you will find for one or two particular characters that they don't speak a proper Creole, because that's what's defined the character. This particular character has to have an attitude. And although Haiti is small and all Haitians speak Creole, I have to give you the news that some of us add a little bit of spice here or spice there. Some Haitians are pretty reluctant in speaking a clean-cut Creole. They will have a Creole that's spiced with some French to different degree. And in the book, when you are reading fiction, if the character is supposed to represent somebody with some level of sophistication or who wants to create an image, you will see it in the written words.
Right. That explains because
Okay.
I had no trouble understanding the Bible. I had no trouble speaking with the people. But then when I read this book, and then my question is, do I know Creole or don't I?
You probably know Creole. Did you read, excuse me, La Famille Beauplaisir?
No, I don't have that book.
You don't have. Not that I'm advertising myself, but I'm going to suggest, because these two novels are connected. In the first one, this is the family leaving Haiti one by one, and their interaction among themselves between the nuclear family who stayed in Haiti and the members who are leaving the homeland. So the interaction is basically between and within the members of that family. So it's more, I won't say much. But the second part says is now the family reacting to the world, including to the reality of Haiti and Haiti's politics. So Sedisma is a little bit more difficult to maybe place in the mind of the author if you have not read La Famille Beauplaisir. Although they are not connected at all. One will make you laugh, and probably we would be more entertaining. The second one is more reflective. You know, not that I prefer one than the other one.
But in terms of the question is that because every character has their own singularity, it will happen that one of them would speak would have a French way of saying thing, and that point you would be lost a little bit because it is not so much about the Creole, it's about the character of what he represents at that particular context.
And that's always my challenge too. And I do have Haitian editors that always look over my work and scrutinize it and make sure that it's understandable. So
I'm going to just mention very briefly. There was a scholar from England really did that section of these two books and said things in a way that I really cannot say it better, showing how because there is a satirical aspect of this book, because there is some kind of not a critic but really analysis of Haitian society with all the visible and invisible stratifications. The characters really can get somebody lost into detail particularities of Haitians because of the way they talk. But some characters are authentic and speak the authentic Creole that you will find in the Bible. Thank you.
So then you would say that the Bible is a good standard for a language that the people could understand
Yes.
throughout the country.
Yes.
If the orthographical issues that I said we had in the first edition 20 or more years ago, if these are solved, it's perfect.
Yes, I think it was a fairly new edition.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Marie Racine, and I'm Haitian, and I live in Washington, D.C. I would like to say congratulations for all the efforts that you have made and your persistence with the project, really. I would like to ask about the accessibility of the material for people in the rural area and the cost, for them, if they are not supported by an organization, if they have to get to the material available through their own means. What arrangements are you able to make for them?
I am very delighted, Dr. Racine, to see you here. It's I'm very proud you come, and I consider it. I'm happy to see you. The books are expensive. What we do now is that we know that the people in the rural area, even people in the urban area, cannot buy our books. We deal and collaborate with priests, with pastors, with NGOs who have programs, and we help them with fundraising activities to find money to buy books for the family, for the children, for the schools. I have several scenarios. For example, even hospital abattoirs, for example, they are more in health than education, but they have a section where they collaborate with pediatricians to get people to read for the kids, and they hire readers in the community to read for the children when the children are in the hospital. Even this, for example, would have fundraising money to buy a book. We help them with fundraising. Sometimes we provide them with materials that are in English for Americans, who in turn give money, for books. We give discount too, but we think it's very difficult to deal with so many discounts. We do that, but what we do more often is to help people who want to do our fundraising or activities, help them, provide them organizational support, even give them some books in English for good donors to generate the revenues, and these revenues can in turn be used to buy books for their libraries, for their schools, for the children, for their family, or for the programs.
Thank you very much for your answer. And also, I want to say, a good word for the effort of using the electronic systems and the technology. It's also something that calls for a lot of thoughts about how soon can we get the technology in the most remote areas and have people, use them. But it is certainly something that Haiti needs to take advantage of, because in the 21st century, we have to go by leaps, and bounds in order to bridge the gaps, because we are very far behind with this. And, you've led the way and continue, but make the means also possible.
Yes.
For people to reach. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm glad you mentioned that. We are in a dilemma. Actually, trilemma, if that's an English word. We find that the computer technology, or even, let's say computer technology and internet penetration in Haiti is very low, especially in rural area. We know, for example, one laptop per child is a program who provide laptop to children in Haiti. And I've been to Haiti recently after, for that training. I sit down in a place where there were 12 kids with one laptop, OLPC, playing with it. It gives me goosebumps to see these kids, 7 to 13, girls or boys, playing with the computer and doing things. I mean, after half an hour, I saw what they were doing. It didn't matter what they did, but the fact that they have the computer, they are using the keyboard, they are accessing it, they are creating small coding routine, and so on and so forth. But the most difficult part of putting a computer in the hand of the children is that it's a terrible thing when there is no content for the child to use. And the technology needs to be also accompanied by the content. So international organizations give the computer and you go there, no content. So we say, even though the penetration is not high, let's build it. Because by the time we build it, there will be more incentive to put the computer in the hand of the children. And also the children will have access to material that validate their experience, because it's good to use material that is developed to construct other citizens, but it's good also to have material that is developed to construct your own citizenry. So We are encouraged to go that route. But despite the fact that we are developing it, we don't even have a revenue model for it. We still leave it free. But we cannot continue that way because we need to be sustainable too. So we are talking with NGOs or people who know to do how to do fundraising to see if they could collaborate with us to leave it, continue to leave it free. If not, then we'll have to have a model to generate revenue, so to make it durable.
Well, how about the Haitian government? And trying to see how there have been promises made. So perhaps that's a plug there.
Yeah, I think it's a good suggestion. I'll make a quick comment because we've been here for 20 years and I've met at least 5 Ministry of Educations, 3 presidents, and so I have an idea what will happen already.
Thank you very, very, very much.
You're welcome. I have to say though, we have a very open door with the Ministry of Education. Everything we do, we let them know. And sometimes they invite us to meetings. Even though in terms of concretization and crystallization, nothing happened yet, but we keep that door open with them, and I'm happy, I'm proud to do it.
Very, very good. And also a special thank to the Caribbean Studies developer.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Good afternoon. My name is Evelyn Bonhomme, and I follow in Dr. Racine's footsteps because she's a friend of my family, so I kind of grew up, with her, and she has been an inspiration. So briefly, I am a retired lawyer, but now I am in education. And she is I don't know if she wants to be acknowledged as, she's my mentor because she's teaching me. I have informal conversations with her where we discuss, educational issues and, different issues. Anyway, my question for you is that I am very sorry that I haven't seen your catalog. So I have no idea really what you do. But what occurred to me while I was listening to all of this is that, and correct me if I am wrong, you have products that Haiti needs. So you're oriented toward Haiti. But in Haiti, we know for many reasons the resources to pay you to continue production are kind of scarce or, generally unavailable. Do you have a part of your production that is directed to the educational system of the U.S.? So you would be in Florida selling to Haiti. Haiti can't pay, but you could be selling here and with the expectation or the hope that you would get easier financing right there. Does it go both ways?
Yes. I am very happy to speak with you, Ms. Bonhomme. I have to guess. When I was a kid, my father used to take me to a church, and there was a lady there, a beautiful lady. I wouldn't be surprised if she's not your mother, because you look so much like her. She, Mrs. Bonhomme, l'église méthodiste. Yeah.
You got it.
Your mother?
No, I don't know which one because it's a lot of them.
One of them looked like you. It's incredible.
You may be an aunt.
Okay.
Not my mom.
We have 2 elements of our business. One that provide support material for Haitian students in United States. We have material in English about Haiti, like culture, cuisine, art in English. And we have material for the classroom, language art, content like mathematics, geography, that are bilingual, English, Haitian, Creole, for the student who came from Haiti while they are learning English, so that they will have material, content material, to develop their cognitive skills while learning, developing linguistic skills in English. So this part of the business really support the other part. You have it right.
Okay, thank you. And I look forward to learning more and talking further so we can see how we can cooperate.
Yes, I would like that.
My name is Carl, and I served in Haiti a number of years ago. My question today is a request that comes from some of our school teachers in our school in Port-au-Paix. They are wondering if you or somehow we could find a copy of all of the pictures of all of the presidents of Haiti. In our classrooms, in our schools here in the United States, it's not unusual to see like 8.5 by 11 size posters of all the presidents, from President George Washington all the way up to President Obama today. And some of our school teachers are wishing they could have a similar display like that in their classrooms.
There are many actually. We don't publish one, but there are many. I would be happy to send. If it for one, I could be happy to send you one. But we have a book also it's called Leaders of Haiti. It's in English.
Okay.
That's all leaders of Haiti from Toussaint Louverture.
That is a book that you produced?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we have that too until Aristide. So we haven't get updated yet, but it is updated. But the chart on the poster that you talk about, I'll take your communication. I'll send you one, because there are plenty. I see them all the time in libraries in Miami.
Okay. Okay. Well, if you could send that information along to Brother Simon.
Okay.
And perhaps if you could send several copies of your catalog so that several of us could see that, we would
We'll
appreciate
do that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Well, the plan has changed. I must say for her that she just finished first grade. She did kindergarten last year, and last year she received the Superintendent Award for reading 100 books. And this year also she's in the list. Several kids in her school who read 100 books. So she got the second trophy. She's collecting them. Hopefully we'll get 12.
And this is so interesting what Fequiere is saying. And it's appear a lot, but all it takes really, it's maybe one book every other day. And it's amazing how reading books and telling stories open minds to kids. And we were in our way coming here Saturday, taking the plane, and somebody stopped and asked, how old is she? With some kind of interest. And the reason really was because she appeared to be pretty cognitive. Usually she's not shy, but I don't know what happened today. She's too impressed, but you'll be surprised, her vocabulary and how much she knows and how much she retains from these books and how much creativity comes from reading books. So really, we know with our own experience at home that every book is a key to a new doors, and there is no limit. The more you read, the more you learn. I'm sure you know that.
I would like in your work, on your activities, to share this cultural or reality, to create in your way at least one independent reader. Somebody who love to read and read independently.
Does she read in English and Creole?
Both. But now she's mostly reading in English. But we read our books for her in Creole too.
And we do storytelling in Creole. For some reason, she finds a lot of interest in the, you see now she's already laughing, a lot of interest in the stories from Haiti. I don't know if it's because of the way I tell her the stories, because I tell her the stories the way they were told to me, with all the spice and all those unpredictabilities. You know, she likes the stories in Creole. We are trying to keep her Creole up, and with new family members who came to join us in Florida after the earthquake, her French has improved too, because she got kids to speak both Creole and French with. So we are keeping the interest in all the languages.
I'm Carl, and I'm wondering about your first familiarity with the English language. You were born in Haiti, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So how did you first start learning English?
In high school, I don't remember elementary school, but at least certainly in high school, I had to take 4 languages.
Right.
I took Latin for 3 years, Greek for 2 years, English for 3 years, and Spanish for 1 year.
Okay.
So by the time I went, after high school I traveled. I went to Montreal, Canada. My English grammar was pretty good. It is the understanding and the speaking that I need to develop. So by books and by classroom, I studied Spanish, English. And
So you first started learning English as a high school student?
yes,
Okay.
in Haiti. And Spanish too.
Okay.
Mhm.
That's interesting.
And when I went to Montreal, I went there to go to school in French, to college in French. Because I went to Montreal because it's the closest French-speaking environment that I have access to. In other words, Montreal was accessible to my family, so I went there. But after my 2 years of what they call CEGEP, I decided to go to school in English. I went to Concordia University in English, and I was able to immediately get through. Even though all these years are still, a struggle. And I think for Maude it's the same thing too, right?
Actually, my experience is even, I would say, worse, because I was really, yours was better than mine, I should say, because I was definitely impressed and too impressed by English. I found, I took like Fequiere, I took Latin, I didn't take Greek, I took some Spanish and some English, but I just was not too comfortable with other languages. I don't know, I was probably too scared, and sometimes when you decide it's too hard, then it's hard. So after high school, I went to Central America without any Spanish. We were just talking about that a little bit earlier, and the first week was scary. The first month was worrisome, and by the 6th month, I just have to stand and do my presentation like every college student. So I got my encounter after high school. I get my encounter with Spanish. I learned Spanish. By the time I graduated 4.5 years later, I was very comfortable to the point that people would ask me if I was from either the Dominican Republic or Panama. So that means that pretty much the accent I was taken care of as well. Now, still no English in my life. I was still scared of English until 1984. When I came to this country, probably 1983, that's when I decided, well, I can no longer avoid it. We were coming to live in this country. I have to speak the language. And I am a talker. I like to talk, my husband said, and I think it's true. So I started working, got a position because I was comfortable in Spanish in Massachusetts, and there were not too many Spanish-speaking people in my field. But I had to go to learn some English at night. I took 2 months. After work, I would go to school, and after 2 months, by doing my homework, paying attention, the teacher say, okay, I think I have no more room for you. Yeah, I'm going to let you go and just practice. And that was end of December. By January, I realized that I had to practice, and I did. Less than 5 years later, I wrote a piece in English, and not only was accepted, but I got paid for it. So, and so I realized language is an instrument. You just have to play it, and the more you practice, the better you do. And you being in Haiti and learning and practicing Creole, You surprise yourself every day. Yes.
Do you still know Spanish and Latin?
My Latin has decreased because I have not used it, but I know it's still there because when I'm facing a word that I don't know, I look for the Latin root and I will get pretty close to the real definition because I have experience. As for Spanish, I know now people ask me, where did you learn Spanish? That means I lost some of the accent. However, it's still well alive and I use it as often as I can.
Thank you very much for your generosity with information, with your time, your great warmth, your great commitment. It was wonderful to have you here today.
Thank you very
for
much.
inviting us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Carol.
This has been a presentation of the Library of Congress. Visit us at loc.gov.